This is a recording of a mastermind that I did where we went over talking about Google Business Profile, and we heard from agents all across the country on what they're doing, best practices, and how they're generating leads through there. Listen, if you'd like to be a part of any of these, I do these every Friday at 10 Central Time. If you'd like more information on that or to be included in some of these mastermind links and also to participate, down bottom in the section down below in the description, I'll have a link where you can sign up for those. Now let's get to it. All right, everybody. I'm excited to talk a little bit today about one of the things that I think most agents overlook and probably one of the most opportunistic areas in our businesses, which is Google Business Profile today. A couple things before we get started. If you don't mind, it should mute you, but if you don't mind, if you're not talking, if you can mute yourself, that'll help it. Also, Rosalie Warner is here. She's going to help me in the comments where she's going to be if anybody has any questions for anybody, you want to raise your hand, just hop in. This is an interactive mastermind. This is the way we love doing these things. So Rosalie, thank you for that. And great to see you. And we'll go ahead and get started. Actually, Julie, I wanted to call in Julie Tomlinson. And Julie, if you are here, if you don't mind, you can unmute yourself. I wanted to mention a couple things about Julie. Julie and I met actually, listen, I guess I'm one of those people that just scrolls through TikTok, and I happened to find Julie giving some information on Google Business Profile. This was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I just DM'd her and I just said, hey, loved what you said there. I'd love to get some more details from you. We ended up talking. I ended up us recording a video. That was a video that I put on my YouTube channel a couple weeks ago. Then I converted that into an article on Inman. It was the third most popular article on Inman last week. And so that was what kind of came about, how this whole thing came about. So Julie, if you're there, I'd love for you to kick us off. And then Allison, I'm gonna come to you after that. But I'd love for you just to kind of kick us off and give us a little bit of a background on kind of those things. Julie is from Mandeville, Louisiana, on the North Shore there of Lake Pontchartrain. So Julie, glad to have you here, and please just jump right on in.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. So I started on this Google Business Profile journey last year and was just shocked that I didn't start sooner, and I learned so much. And everyone may be at a different spot with it, but I'm just going to kind of talk about like the main parts, how you can optimize it. Creating the profile. I mean, we talk about how, Facebook and Instagram and everything else where, I feel like people go to Google when they're searching for realtors in your area, in your city. That's where they start. And then I think they sort of find your social media from there. Well, my Google Business Profile wasn't optimized for that. So you definitely want to create your profile. And I always say like the 3 Ps, like your profile, your photos, and your posts are that's where you want to start for sure. And you want to be consistent with it. I started doing this last year sometime and being consistent with it, whether that's 1 or 2 times a week for you or 3 times a week. Google, they love consistency. They love content. They love, you just kind of repurpose everything you use on other platforms and upload it on there. So when I started, I can just kind of go over some just key points of the main categories that help with the SEO optimization. Couple things for sure. So you want a clear headshot when you're uploading photos. It's very wise to name it accordingly before you upload it to your profile. So use your city, use a neighborhood specific, because Google will pick up on those keywords when you have people searching for realtors in that area or in that neighborhood. So rename your photos, and these are just sold, just listed, even pictures of you with your clients at closings, like state the neighborhood or the name of the city where you close the house before you upload it. Your profile, one of the key things there, 24/7 for your hours, that's supposed to optimize the SEO, give it a good boost as well. So put 24/7 there. And your service areas list, be as specific as you can with all of this. So you want to list neighborhoods, cities, zip codes, everywhere that you service. Those are the main things for the profile. And then your photos, back to that, like I said, your headshot, candid photos. You can do landmarks of your area, the areas that you service. And these all go back, like with everything else, with the keywords and optimization of what people are searching for and how they're searching. And this will help you get pushed up to the top of those search results to where you'll have leads coming to you and you're not chasing them yourself. And it does work. So last week I got a call from a realtor. She was out of Seattle and she said, I have a client new in there and he found you on Google. So we wanted to kind of just set up we have an interview next week via Zoom. So it's working. I definitely think it works. I don't know if I'm talking too much, but one quick thing I want to say too, the reviews. Reviews are huge for optimization. If you can get them to say your name, just your first name, when they are leaving a review, that really boosts the SEO as well. And then obviously you reply right away. If you have a profile set up already, there is a quick link you can go to for your reviews. You can make it into a QR code, put it on your business cards. Anyone with a Gmail account can leave a review. And we've talked about that before, like, friends, family, anyone, just vendors, inspectors that you work with. Just try and get as many as you can. And I think, Jimmy, you said too, giveaways, things like that. Just be creative with that because Google loves reviews as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will tell you kind of if you don't mind, I'm going to share a couple of things that you and I talked about, especially on the optimization. And what we found when I was doing this and we were helping with a number of agents in our local market and we got them up to speed is a couple of key factors here. First off, what we found is consistency is key. Instead of uploading 100 photos, because what we found was 100 photos or videos basically was kind of almost like a key number for us. And so instead of dumping 100, we dumped 20, 15, 10, 10, 10. We just tried to stay consistent with that for a little while. The second thing we found is that you want to get to 10 reviews as quick as possible, and more is better. I mean, think about it. When you go to a city, if I go to a city and I'm looking for a restaurant, when I pull it up, I look at the number of reviews to give me an understanding of if this is an established restaurant and what those reviews stated. I read those. Those are going to get read. Those are going to kind of be the gateway for those things. So there's a number of ways to do that. We'll talk a little more about that as we get to some of the other agents also. The other thing I would say is make sure that you fill out everything. Just like what Julie was saying, fill everything in that it asks you. And we're going to have a time for some Q&A coming up also here in just a minute. And Rosalie, if you see any of those. But Julie, I know you had put together, because we had gotten a bunch of requests from people on just kind of how to put this kind of succinctly for people where they'd have like something to review. Have you got, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but do you have like a link for anything like that was, because it was really good. And if you don't mind, it was like a how-to or something. What was that exactly, if you don't mind?
So it was it's a step-by-step guide on how to create and optimize your profile, based on the SEO keywords as a realtor, how to get pushed up. So it was a guide and it sort of broke down each step of what you should put in your profile and what you should do to be consistent on the platform, and ideas on posts and updates and what products and services are and all of that stuff. Because you can get in depth with everything, but so it maps it all out for you. And I do have a link.
If you don't mind, if you've got that link and you can share it in the chat portion, that would be great. I will tell you, like, thinking from a standpoint, since you brought this up, on the type of post, it's very similar to what you would post on social media. In other words, the consistency, in the same way that it helps you grow on social media, posting videos, posting photos, posting when you're talking about your business, all of those things do really well. And especially when you think of them from that standpoint, we're even utilizing ChatGPT to make sure we're SEO optimizing that. It's even more important over there when you're doing the description of those things, because obviously that is what Google is driven completely by, is that search criteria. So that is really good. I am recording. Thank you for asking, Rosalie. So I appreciate that. And also, I'll tell you what, let's do. Thanks. Hey, Julie, hang around if people have got questions, because we know we're going to have some Q&A time. But let's just go East Coast to West Coast. We'll start with Allison in Needham and Boston, Massachusetts area. Allison, if you don't mind, share kind of some of the things that you're doing and kind of some of the results maybe that you've been seeing.
Sure. So my story is a little bit similar, I would say. I started about 1.5 years ago, really focusing on Google for kind of the same reason, that if somebody's even recommending me to a friend, the first thing we do is Google them. So I wanted my profile to really reflect me. So I did all what Julie was saying, updated everything, put in the hours, the photos. I do the same thing where I name all my photos and I name the location and I add my name to it, really to try to boost Google's ability or people's ability to find me. So I post regular updates, and those are similar to what we've been talking about. Anything I post on Instagram or LinkedIn, automatically I do it. I then post it to Google, and that's where I use ChatGPT. I just drop that in, write the SEO optimized description for each platform, and then just literally copy and paste it. Another thing I do sometimes, because I get a little bit bogged down, is if we have those services that auto post, like, through my brand, we do, I just set it up to auto post so that at least there's something there. And those are usually already SEO optimized. I don't like those on my regular social media because I think they're a little, they're static. But I think for boosting SEO, that's a good opportunity. The other thing I just learned about the services, and this is the next thing I'm going to do, is that you can really dig down in there. So when you put your like residential real estate or first time home buyers, you can do open it up. There's a drop down menu and add a description in there and really load that up with the SEO keywords to, again, boost your searchability. So
Yeah.
I
Hey,
can keep talking. I talk
no, I would love
fast.
for you to. I wanted to add one thing, and then I wanted to ask you a question. One thing
Yeah.
is that I had done an interview with Courtney Benson this past week, and she uses the SEO optimization when she's writing descriptions for TikTok. But she put
Mhm.
a spin on the end of this, where she's saying, like in her situation, in the Dallas Fort Worth area, she says, make this where it would be searchable for buyers and sellers looking in the Fort Worth market. But she also added in there at the end, and realtors in other markets looking for an agent to refer clients, buyers or sellers in Dallas Fort Worth. So I want to tell you that when she said that to me, it was like, especially on Google, because a lot of the things that are happening, I mean, we just heard that literally from Julie. A lot of the referrals that are coming, people are going to check you out on Google. And a lot of times when they're doing research, when I go in and if I don't know an agent in an area and I do research, I typically start with Google. And so by doing that and actually doing that, all of a sudden now you've got a real estate agent in another market, which Google knows, and you've set the optimization to catch the attention of that agent in another market referring. That's something that is newer that just makes complete sense to me that is going to absolutely help. And from that on TikTok alone, she's generated over 60% of the 52 referrals that she's received this year have come from other agents in other markets. So just think about that. And I don't think Courtney's on here. If she is, Courtney, if you are, just jump in. But anyway, that was such a great idea that I thought that was great. Allison, talk to me
Yes.
about what those posts are. I know you do a lot of video on your social. And then just to cue it up, Katie White, I'm gonna come to you next after this. So
Yeah, so every single kind of post that I would post on social, I drop right into Google. So it's the carousels, it's this just sold, just listed, any of my educational videos, all of that I post as updates. And as I was thinking about this, I started to look at what some of the other people in my market doing who might have a spot above me, and they're posting even more regularly than I am. So that is next up for me, is to really make sure that I am posting very consistently and very often, because that's what I'm understanding that Google's looking for. So the posts, videos as well.
yeah,
Jimmy, we
and
have a question in chat. They're asking is about the auto post to your Google page. I think, Allison, you mentioned that.
Yeah. So I don't know. We were probably all in different companies and brands. I have an opportunity to do some auto posting, and I did set that up to go to my Google so that there's always something consistently posting. And then I supplement a lot with my own content, but I don't, those kind of auto posts like happy whatever, I don't do that on my social media because I don't like it there, but I do allow that on the Google because I think that, I mean, they're SEO optimized, they have the keywords, and it's still regularly posting content for me.
hey, Allison, also, one of the things I think that's interesting what you do also is that what you were talking about, the consistency is, think of it this way. It's not just Google, it's the other person. Like when I go look, I want to see that there has been a recent review. I want to see that there has been a recent post, because if it's something where there's not been anything in 3 months, that really makes a difference when I'm viewing it. So I know it probably does, especially for referring agents or for people that are looking for agent, in Needham, Massachusetts, for instance. So
Mhm.
I think that consistency is key. The other thing is the consistency with everything. I'm gonna actually I'm gonna share my screen, and then Allison, I would love for you to share the story too about some successes. I know you've had some really big wins, but let me share my screen real quick and just kind of show you this picture. This is Julie Colleen does this. She has put this together. She had a PTA meeting, so she wasn't able to join us this morning. She takes this to the closing and sits it on the table. And she has generated a ton of her reviews right there at the closing table while the people are happy. It's a simple, easy QR code that she sets up for them to be able to go, that takes them straight to the Google review page for hers. This to me was a tremendous idea. And so I would just encourage you, if you haven't done this yet, if you just do this right here, and you take it to the closing table, you will get more referrals, or you'll get more reviews rather. So from that standpoint, that's a great way to add some consistency, and I just love that idea. But Allison, if you don't mind, I mean, you've had some wins, I know. Tell us a few of those, or one of those at least, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've had some great wins. My favorite story is about a year ago. I got a phone call. It was somebody looking to buy a $5.5 million house in my town. It was the most expensive house, been on the market a long time. I'll be honest, I thought it was spam. But turns out it was legit. We closed the deal about 6 weeks later, and they found me on Google because they identified a property and they were looking for a realtor in my town of Needham, Massachusetts. And they stumbled upon my they found me on Google, and then I have all my social media linked. So they are able to go through all of my own content and the videos, which Jimmy, you and I have talked a lot about videos over the years. And that's where, they already knew me, liked me, trusted me. And by the time they called me, they hired me. I mean, it was one day in town, $5 million sales. It was really unbelievable. And that's my favorite, but I certainly have a few others that have done the same thing, found me on Google.
Jimmy,
How
quick
much was that? One more time?
question for you.
Wait 1 second. How much was that again? I
It
mean,
was a 5.4,
we just
5.5
breezed
million.
through that like it was a
I know.
$250,000 house. 5.5
No,
million.
it was the most expensive, the highest sale in my town, and they were relocating here. And I do a lot of relocation, so a lot of my reviews have those words in it and the stories from that. So they identified me as an agent they wanted to work with, and it was a very quick. Called me, we Zoomed and met, but by the time we got to the initial Zoom, they'd already kind of knew me from my Google and my videos.
Yeah, Allison, let me just add to that, and then Rosalie will jump in the questions before we go to Katie. I will tell you that when we've done this, and I've worked with a ton of agents to do these things, it was almost like we hit a tipping point. When we got to 100 photos, when we got to 20 reviews, and we had consistently posted for 2 months, we started getting leads. Now, I'm not telling you you can hit lightning in a bottle, but Allison's telling you 5.5 million. The one I'm thinking of that we did, and we started from scratch. She didn't even have one. And literally 2 months later, she got a $2.2 million listing. And that was a high price point for her market as well. So I think the other thing is you have to understand the person who is searching, especially the higher end, if they don't know someone, they're going to start with Google. And so the best you can do is to position yourself in a way to do that. So Allison, please, I'm sure if people have got questions, please jump in with this stuff also, because I love everything you're doing. So Rosalie, you want to go through a couple questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple. A question from Pat is, how do we post videos on Google when they limit the size?
Yeah, I mean, we've not had any issues as long as it was the size of a Instagram reel or smaller. I mean, it's not like you can, go in and post those, those large ones. But I think unless somebody else has had a difference, and please jump in if you have, as long as we've had, those minute and a half or less type of things, we've been fine with those.
Thank you. Thanks,
And
Jimmy.
I'm looking. What was the next question? I was looking.
Maxwell's asking, how are you adding captions to your photos for your Google profile? I've noticed Google does not allow you to do this when adding a photo, at least when he is uploading them via his MacBook. So
yeah, they won't. And so what Julie was talking about is title the photo. In other words, the way you save the photo and the name that you have on the file that you cannot put the caption up on it. But what you can do is like if I was going to upload a photo, just like here I am on 38. If I was going to upload a photo of sunset of a sunset in Seaside, I would then title the photo, the JPEG file as sunset at Seaside, Florida. And then that way you're going to get a little bit of, at least that's what everybody's saying, is you'll get a little bit of Google juice because it's recognizing the title of the photo, which then is adjusting that. So I hope that answers that, Maxwell. It's just a little trick to do that, to try to get around to get the Google juice for it, even though you can't put the caption. Let's
And
see.
one more question right now is, since your contact number is posted on the Google profile, do you get a lot of spam calls from that?
If anybody else can say that they have, I'm not sure. I get a lot of spam calls no matter what I do. I don't know whether Google is affecting that or not, but I will tell you, like yesterday, and I hope he's going to jump on, but I was reaching out to someone yesterday and I had the old number, his old number. I went and looked him up. I just Googled him to just try to find his website to get his phone number. It had the Google business profile. I literally hit the button on the phone and it went straight to him. So I think that is something that we're seeing more and more of. I just did it yesterday. So I would say, for me, I mean, unfortunately, as agents, there's not a lot we can do not to get it. I think I got 7 texts yesterday about my health insurance. I don't know about you, but I don't know that there's a way for us as agents to avoid some of that stuff. Any more right now, Rosalie?
There is, but let's keep going and I'll pop back into them.
Okay. All right. Let's head on out west a little bit and check in with Katie White in Butte, Montana. Katie does some tremendous business out there. And Katie, if you don't mind, jump on, share with us kind of what you're doing. And then Christian, I'm going to come out to the West Coast for you next.
Buddy.
Hey.
So can you hear me?
Yes, gotcha.
Okay. So I actually started working on my Google business page in 2020 during COVID when I was bored, basically. And I got into it really just not knowing any of the tips and tricks or anything. I just went in, I started putting pictures up, I got my information in there, and I started asking for reviews from older clients, putting it up on Facebook, Instagram, and everything. And then from there, I think it was in 22 when I went to a conference that Jimmy was at, I started learning more from his tips on what to do. And so that's where I started, the 100 pictures. I've learned some stuff today that I didn't know about, like the changing the names of the files. And like Allison was saying, because I think I'm still with the same brokerage as Allison, but using our auto posting, I've never done that on Google because like she said, also, I don't like it on my other pages. But what I have found is I have the most reviews locally. I have the most active page locally. And so even though I am not doing all the things that, like, I'm not posting every day, I'm not putting everything over from Instagram, I need to do all of that stuff. But even though I'm not doing that in my market, because I'm so far ahead, really, I just with the number of reviews and having the photos and everything like that, I don't have to do that yet. So I'm definitely going to up my game and start doing that, just because it's the right thing to do. And, and I can't help but learn more and more as I'm on here. The one thing I definitely do, I add all of my listings into it as products as soon as I get them in the MLS. And I also really often, I'll go and I'll just open my Google, like my search, where you open your Google business page. And then underneath it, you'll see everywhere else that you're found, like all of your other links. And I like to go through that pretty regularly and make sure that everything is right in there, that all of my information is correct. Because I've been searching for agents where, like, I find them and then I go to, like, for whatever reason, realtor.com pops up first and their information's wrong. And so I try really hard to pretty regularly make sure that everything on here is correct, that pulls up with my name. And then I ask for reviews all the time. I'll randomly go into, like, my transaction manager, and I'll go way back
Huh.
and and it's another way that I use as contact with people. And so I'll go way back to clients that I haven't talked to in a really long time, and I'll send them an email. And at the bottom of my email, my signature says, you know, if you have a second, I'd love a review. And I get reviews quite often from those check-in emails. So it's just another way to remind yourself to check in with people if you're not doing it automatically, you know, through drip campaigns or whatever. And then lastly, the biggest thing that I find is, because I have my Facebook and my Instagram linked, and because I'm so active on especially Instagram, by the time people call me, they feel like they know me. And it's like they already know my sense of humor. They know, you know, they know that maybe I cuss a little bit. And usually they're like, it's just funny. Like they're instantly familiar. And I love that. Like that is so important to me because it skips so many steps. And I probably get 2 to 3 calls a week.
Yeah.
Whether they turn into
Really?
something.
That many right now? Yeah.
They turn into a contact, you know. I have two from this week, and already, and well, it's Friday. And you know, and a lot of them are, I really don't get I do get some agents, but you know, but that is for sure, all of my agent referrals, they already know who I am. Like they call me and they're like, oh my God, this one, I thought it was funny. Like, you know, this one post or whatever, or, you know, I wish I could get on Instagram and, you know, do what you do. And I'm like, yeah, make a fool out of myself, you know? And so it's really fun. I think that's the most important part about it. And I mean, I've learned so much today that I'm already like, oh God, I need to catch up. But that's been my experience, and it really started with COVID, and then Jimmy, you know, kind of brought lots of information to me, and I've been running with it since.
Yeah, this is
Sorry,
great. Hey,
I talk
Katie,
a lot.
somebody asked for your, no, that was great. What's your Instagram? They were asking, if you don't mind. What's your handle
It's
on Instagram?
it's just the Katie White. I can put it
That would
in
be great.
chat.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Katie, what I love
Um,
about, one of the things that I love is that you show your personality on there as well as on social. And that was, I think that is the key. And one of the things that we're seeing obviously is the more authentic you are on all platforms, Google included, on who you are, the easier it is for your ideal people to find you. And it eliminates some of those that maybe you don't want. When I did that interview, I mentioned Courtney Benson last week. She said that what she's found is that the people that don't connect with her on social media and that maybe will say things negative about some posts she had. She said what she's found, and I love this line, is the trash takes itself out. And so just be yourself and you'll identify those. Let me give you a couple of quick tips also on kind of some of the photos. One of the things that I would say is if you've got reviews on other places, whether it be Zillow, Realtor.com, that maybe they haven't left a review on Google, you can take a photo of that and then post that up on your Google and just put review for Katie White, Butte, Montana Realtor, you know, as the file. Okay. You can also, with the photos, think of anything in your local market that would be a landmark that people would immediately identify as your area. Think about some of your favorite restaurants or some of the hallmarks of the community, I guess you could say, community events. Anything that you might post on your social, think of that from that perspective on the photos there. I personally love it when people post photos of them with their family, because I want to work with somebody. That's just me. Again, you be you. You do you, boo. But I mean, literally figure out what it is and just be yourself on there. On the review side, I want to mention this also because I noticed somebody had, I think Brennan had asked about this. The great thing about Google reviews is they are not verified like you have on Zillow or Realtor.com. It has to be a verified sale. So in other words, you can absolutely have a mortgage lender that you go and leave them a review and say, hey, listen, I really appreciated working with you. I left you a Google review. I would love, in turn, if you could leave me one. Here's a link. You can do those things as well. So don't be afraid to do that. I've done it with other agents that sent me referrals and say, hey, listen, I'd love to leave you a review. Thank you for sending me the referral. And in exchange, I'd love for you to leave me a review once we get this thing closed. So don't be afraid to do those things, especially if you've got agents that have sent you referrals, because as we were talking about, a lot of this is driven by people sending referrals. So if you can have agents reviewing you that, hey, I sent my friend or my family member, and for instance, in this case, Katie really took great care of them. We loved her sense of humor. We loved the way she negotiated for them on their behalf. And we love the fact that she found them the perfect home. That will do volumes for you as far as the referral side. So make sure you're noting some of those things as well. Before we get into some questions, look, I'm going to want some of you to jump in too. So like Brendan, I want you to jump in if you've got something you want to add here after we get through Christian. Also, I did see Jennifer Booker, that you were on here. I'd love to get some insight from you, because I know you got a ton of insight on what's working for you down in South Florida, or in that area. So let's go out west though. Let's head out to Newport Beach. Christian Walsh. Christian, if you're here, I want to make sure you're here first.
I'm here, Jimmy. I'm here.
Hey, love it. All right, brother, jump in. Tell us what you're doing, because I'd love to hear what's working for you.
Well, after hearing all this, I feel like a rookie. I just gave myself a Google My Business profile audit, and mine sucks. So I guess that's worth the price of admission. So thank you for that. No, for me, as you know, I'm just focused primarily on YouTube videos. So that's
Right.
that's my focus, either sell real estate and or do YouTube videos. And then I have an operations director, Michelle, who posts it everywhere else. And she's great with social media, but I can see some changes I need to make right now. And I have a question for the group. And what do you do? Because right now my profile says real estate agent in Newport Beach, California, which is true, I am. But I serve all of Orange County and I serve LA as well. So I kind of want to throw that out there and get some advice from folks. How do you not have your Google business profile so hyper local? How do you spread it out?
Well, Kristen, if you've got addresses in those other places, you could potentially have multiple locations as far as multiple sites. I will say that if you go too wide with Google, it's not going to help you. You know what I mean? I would almost, this is my personal, I would suggest you could always do, you know what I mean? You could always do Newport Beach / Orange County / LA Realtor. I mean, you can do that,
Mhm.
my concern is that, if someone sees that, then they would go to the person who says just Newport Beach or just Orange County. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah,
that's just a
well
personal opinion.
said.
If somebody else disagrees or does things differently, please jump in. I mean, that's why this is a mastermind where we can get ideas from everybody. But anybody else have any insights on that? From
I
what course?
do really quick.
Yeah,
Because I do really service a wide area, because we're Montana and
right.
and so I have, and I'm trying to find it right now where I have it, but I have listed all of the towns that I service, and
Right.
then I go all the towns, all the counties, and then sometimes I'll do like specific areas, like Georgetown Lake and that, but we, you know, Montana, like we're so hyper, like large area. That's not that I'm saying that wrong, but
Yeah, y'all
that
are spread
kind
out.
of,
Y'all are
yeah,
definitely
we're
spread
spread
out.
out. But I don't have Bozeman on there. I don't have Helena on there. I don't have Missoula because I don't service those areas. But I do have on there that like I'll have little things on there that I work with a lot of people that are moving from Bozeman to my area or moving from, and so it's all in the descriptions, I think, that you put out there with your pictures, with whatever you're posting, or like, if you post your listing and you say like, for me, like, Bozeman buyers, like, look what you can
Yeah.
afford in Butte.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. That's been really helpful for me to let people know the area that I work for.
That's really good, and that's a great point. Julie, are you still on here? Because you and I talked a lot about putting the areas that you're in. Do
Yes.
you want to share a little bit about that as well? Because that is, I mean, think of it from a search perspective, y'all. And Julie, kind of what you suggest on some of that stuff, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I was just going to say too, the service areas, just add everything, cities, zip codes. but also the Q&A portion of it. That's a SEO hack as well, where you can
Right.
go in, ask your own questions and then answer them. I would probably use that to sort of describe further in detail where, what you service and your areas, and ask your own question, do your own answer. And that's supposed to be really high up on the SEO with Google too. So I would maybe utilize that section for it as well, just so you have those keywords in the service description and in the Q&A section too, if you just want one profile.
That's a great idea, Julie. And so, Christian, that may be your catch-all, is obviously put them in those, and then ask the question, what areas do I serve? And then just list them. I mean, that's a great idea in the Q&A. Think of your Q&A as your frequently asked questions page on your website, and that will be a great way to fill those in as well. Chris, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's absolutely genius, and I appreciate that. And then one other side comment, a couple people have apologized for talking so much. You're delivering great value. Stop apologizing. Thank you for being here. Okay, so thank you. Anyway, I'm done.
I know. And Christian, I appreciate you texting me and telling me to stop talking so much, but and let them talk. So I appreciate the honesty. No, I'm
You're
just kidding.
different,
Totally
Jimmy.
kidding.
You're different.
Totally kidding. I know. You got me. I know. Jennifer Booker. Jennifer, if you don't mind, I would love your insight on this. I mean, obviously, Jennifer has a tremendous business in Southwest Florida, or Southeast Florida, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so sorry, Jennifer. Yeah,
It's
Wellington.
okay.
And so,
Yeah.
tell us what you're doing, or I'd love to get your insights on this.
So I started to do a little bit more of the videos, and I've been doing a lot of reels on Instagram. So I'm putting those shorter versions of the videos into Google, because obviously you need just a short video on there. You can't really do. I just got the idea today of linking the YouTube longer video on there, which I will be doing that. But I've been posting more videos and it's been working. It's been, I think, getting me up higher on the search. The SEO is working. And also I've tried to work on increasing the reviews, because I think you had mentioned something about the magic number is at least 25. And so I'm past the 25 and I'm getting more traction in there as well. So that's definitely very important.
Jennifer, so what did you do to get the 25? Was there anything in particular? Did you focus on it, or what did you do?
I did. I focused on it. I actually created little business cards that say, I'm on Google, please send me a review. And so I'll send another note, a handwritten note, just saying it was great working with you. I would love for you to give me a review so I can get other people to find me and be able to service them like I did with you. And then I also send them a gift card for Starbucks in
That's
that
great.
same note.
Yeah. Hey, stay on, because I want to ask you one more question. But is Andy Bill, are you on? I want to make sure. If he's not, I'll tell the story. But I want to let him tell it if he is. I'll go ahead and start with that. Basically, what Andy did, which I thought was great, he was focusing in on building his reviews. He did like $100 gift card for Starbucks, and I don't know, just Google it, I guess, and you can find out how to then have the QR code in the email. And he said, I would refill it, and I would just say, hey, thanks for just wanted to say thanks in advance. If you could take 5 minutes and leave me a review, it'd be greatly appreciated. And the next cup of Starbucks coffee is on me. And here's the QR code where you can claim your next coffee next time you're there. And he added, I think, 10 or 15 in about 2 weeks by doing that. He piecemealed it out, where he didn't send it en masse. He sent it to 5 people, 5 people, 5 people, where it wasn't like it hit every day, and he paced it out. And that was a great way to do that as well. So Jennifer, with the videos, you're just posting what you're typically doing on social? It's not anything in particular. You're not thinking about that from a standpoint?
Knowing that it's usually about my listings and just walkthroughs of the listings. So I'm changing the name of the video though to the address with the neighborhood, or at least the city, or Palm Beach County. Like I'll change the names every time I'm posting something. So it does take a lot more. And I actually have 2 profiles because there's 2 offices that I work out of. And I was actually trying to combine those because it is harder to keep up with 2 profiles. Obviously, you want to do consistency in both. And so with having to change every picture, every video, and putting specific wording so that it comes up, it gets a little bit tedious, but they're not allowing me to do it. So more than likely, I'll have to lose that other profile if I'm not going to keep up with it.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Hey, and I know there's probably some people here that don't have profiles yet. That's where I would say up at the top of the chat, go up there and get that from that Julie did, that was kind of breaking everything down. Julie Thomason did, that was breaking everything down, because she gives you the steps on exactly what to do. And then if you get stuck, just Google it. You know, that's the great thing about this is plenty of help out there. Google does want to help you. Brenda, did you want to add something else? I'd seen where you had mentioned something, or did we answer your question earlier, Brendan Rendo?
Oh, I was just going to share a little cheat because
Yeah,
with
please.
the photos, what you can do is if you've got them all in a folder, if you select all, do a right click, pull up the properties, enter it once, and we'll actually copy the ad. I put in the address to start with, and it copies and it just loads all the address immediately. So I do that for the title in the properties. I do it for the subject in the properties. I do it for the tags in the properties, and I do it for the copyright because I own my own pictures. So I, instead of having to do it for each picture, it's just properties, put it in once, select all, and it copies through it for you. So you can do it in like 2 minutes.
That's really, really good. Great. Good stuff, Brendan. Anything else you want to add? That was really solid. And then, and anybody else want to add anything that they're doing? Man, that's why this is so great. I mean, you know, we're here with 100 and almost 50 agents from across the country. Any ideas that anybody has or little tips or tricks they've got, please. That's what this is all about, is sharing with each other. And then Rosalie, we'll get to these questions if we've got any that we haven't gotten to yet. Anybody want to add anything before we go into Q&A? Some of that stuff.
When you said Google it, if you don't know how to do it, my advice also is to Google the top realtors near you and see who's popping up and what are they doing. So that's something, you know, again, preparing for today, I looked at what the number one is, and I'm going to start copying, you know, rip off and duplicate. So see what other people are doing well.
Yeah. Hey, and Allison, what I've done also is I will take similar markets. So for instance, if Naples is a similar market to ours, or whatever it is, if you can find those markets that are similar, like ours is a coastal market, so I'm going to go to another coastal market. You know what I mean? I'm going to go to Miami. I'm going to go to other coastal markets in Florida. Go to other similar markets and Google there. It's even easier because you can rip those things that maybe somebody's not doing in your market and really, really drive it home in your market as well. And I mean, this is the same thing we talk about with social media. If you can find someone that's in a similar market or is, you know, does their business similar. I mean, you know, like Allison does great with video. I mean, if you go watch and you pull up Allison's, and why don't we do this too? Like everybody that shared, if you don't mind, because I had somebody text me and ask me to send them that. So instead of me texting everybody, you know, Jennifer and Allison and Julie and Christian's Instagram handles or TikTok handles, if y'all don't mind, if y'all can just put them in the chat, that would be great for everybody, so that I don't have to do that today. That would be super helpful for me. And then, yeah, but I agree. I think, you know, if you find some of those examples, Allison, and just copy those things, you don't have to recreate the wheel. You literally just have to find those other places and just put those in motion in your local market. Rosalie, we got some questions.
We have a couple. Somebody asked if they're getting mortgage and title associates to leave Google reviews, and Claudia chimed in and said yes, as well as other vendors that she partners with, such as painters and so forth. So really anybody who's influencing your business. And then there was several people that asked about trying to get your reviews over onto your Google page if they're sitting in like Testimonial Tree or somewhere there. Anybody have an answer to that? I know we touched on it a little bit.
I'll tell you what we've done is we actually take the review, copy it, and put it into an email and send it to that client that left the video or the review on, I'm just use Zillow for instance, and we just say, hey, thank you so much for leaving this review a while back on Zillow. I'm really focused on Google because it is the main driver for my business now. I've copied the review you left on Zillow, and I've got a link below. If you could take 5 minutes and just copy this and hit the link and post this on Google, it would be greatly appreciated. And by the way, down below is a QR code. Next time you pull up to Starbucks, I'd be glad to buy your next cup of coffee. And we've had great opportunities to see people do that. Look, a lot of people, if you can make it easy for them, they will do it. And so that's, Rosalie, does that answer that question, you think? Or anybody
Yes,
else
and
have another way that they've done it also?
Jimmy, this is Lindley. I'm going to chime in real quick because I've done both of those things. I've asked all the vendors we work with regularly for reviews. I've also copied and pasted from Zillow and from my website to put them on Google My Business, and it's been super successful. Like, make it as easy as you can. The one thing I will note is we drip them very slowly over time, because if you get 5 Google reviews in a day, Google's not going to post any of them. So we have to be careful. Like, if you get 5 reviews a day every day, like a restaurant, they're fine with it. But if you get 5 a day and you usually only get 1 a month, Google holds them. So we're like a slow drip over, like, send 1 email a day. That's even easier than having to do 20 a day, because if you get 20 reviews in a day, Google's not going to post them to your page.
Lindley, really good stuff. What else? What are you doing? Anything else particular you're doing with Google Business for you? I mean, obviously.
The one thing I'll say that I do is after, and I know there's a million ways to do this, and I don't think by any means this is the best or the only way, but when I close on a deal, I follow up with my clients, and I don't just say, will you leave me a review? This is what I say. I say, I have 3 quick questions for you. This won't take more than 5 minutes. And it's a form on my website. I'm happy to send it to anybody that wants it. But it's question number 1, what did we do really well? Question number 2, what could we have done better? Because the only way for me to improve in my business is to get honest feedback from you on where I could have been better at my job. Question number 3 is, if you would take the time to write a testimonial, I would appreciate it. And I would really love it if you'd put it on Google, and, I include the links and whatnot. But I think giving them a chance to give me honest feedback about what didn't work, most people don't tell me much, but the times that they have, it's so valuable. They trust me enough to feel like they can give me the feedback, the tough feedback that I frankly need to hear. More than I need to hear how great I was, I want to know what I could have done better so I don't do it again the next time. And I think it's easier to ask for the good stuff when you're also being open to receiving the bad stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Lindley, some people are asking for you to drop that in here. Let me just suggest, if you'll go to Lindley's Instagram and DM her, she'll be glad to send it over to you. That's probably the easiest
for
way
sure,
to get
for
it.
sure.
And
Yep.
and if you're not following Lindley, you should be. She does some great stuff there. And one of the things I would say, if you go over there and check hers out, check out what she did where she's reading the review on a video. She tells the story and made the process. I think she shared this a couple weeks ago, but that is a great outline for your, instead of just doing a just sold post, of the way that she did that. And she mixed in so many different things with Google said it, or Zillow said, this house sold for 700,000 or something crazy, more than Google, and then Zillow said it was worth. And then she went through the whole process, and she actually, instead of posting just the photo of the review, she said, and this is what the seller said, and she reads the review. So it's like third party. So it's really good. I was wondering if you were going to pop on with your camera. So it's great. I know.
I was driving.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, if y'all will just go down there. She just dropped it in at Lindley Residential. That's a great one there. And Lindley, by the way, I had you on my list, so I'll catch up with you later. I'm gonna be in Miami on Monday morning. Didn't know if you were gonna be available, maybe. Okay. So yeah, I know. So I'll catch up with you then. Okay, perfect. Anybody else that has some, Lindley, thanks for jumping in. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't even know Lindley was on here, but I know we've got some folks here that are doing some things, so please jump in. We will have a recording of this. Typically, it takes the editing team, which the editing team being either the editor Noah, who is extremely busy, had 5 buyers in town this week, and so I've got nothing edited, which is fine. I'd rather him be doing that. And then the backup editor has also been slacking. So it may be a week or 2, but we'll get this recording back out to everybody once we get this done. Probably just send it to the email list with the last 3 or 4, because those are kind of stacked up right now. Questions? Any other questions or anything that that you guys want to share? Or questions you have?
We have a question in chat. Stephanie is asking, Stephanie Fix, has anyone received this email from Google? And she received an email that said website redirects are not allowed. Google requires ads to accurately reflect the website the user is being directed to. A website displayed as google.com must lead users to google.com and no other website. Do we have any comments on that?
I haven't.
Yes. So sometimes if you have a vanity like www.alisonborelli.com that redirects you to maybe your brand website or someplace else, it doesn't allow you to do that. It has to be direct. And I was having problems with that. So I switched my website. I own it. It's alisonborelli.com. And then I haven't had any issues since. But that does remind me of what I wanted to say earlier. And I think, Katie, you said it too, to go through and audit your profiles, because at some point that link got broken when somebody made a change, and it really impacted my ranking on Google. So I would schedule some time every so often to go in and audit and make sure your links are working, your information is correct.
Really good. Thanks, Allison. I didn't know that. So Stephanie, hopefully that helps. It sounds like, at least in Allison's case, it was a redirect issue more than it was a Google issue. Once she got it figured out and went straight there, it was fine. Hope that helps.
URL is not a good idea then either.
All right. Dennis, did you want to add something?
Yeah, it sounds like tiny URLs or any other of that type of substitution URLs are not a good idea.
Yeah, I think when you're redirecting something to Google, and then Allison, please jump back in. Share if you want to. I saw you get ready. I'd love for you to answer that.
I'm gonna think for a second. I have to double check something before I
Okay. All right. While she's checking that. Yeah, Dennis, that would be my thing. I think obviously when you're dealing with Google, any direct links will be better. It sounds like from that perspective. I'm speaking from based on this conversation, not from personal experience. So take that for what it's worth. Let's see. Kevin was asking, how do you do the QR code for Starbucks local coffee shop where it charges back to you? Anybody want to answer that has done that? Lindley, jump in, please. You're muted.
Okay, so I host a client event every month, and in July nobody's in Miami. So in July, my monthly event is, I call it Starbucks Saturdays, and I send an email every Saturday morning, and it has this code, so I have an SOP for it. I need to finish it and then I can share it with you. Basically, I don't know if you drink Starbucks, but if you do, like I use my app at Starbucks and they scan this little code, which attaches itself to a gift card. I take a screenshot of the code and put that in my email blast so that it's not a QR code. It's the Starbucks scanner code that I'm literally screenshotting and putting in the email. And then I reload it the same way I would reload my gift card when I go to Starbucks and my thing runs out of money. And you can watch it. You know, I even get a notification, like if my son goes to Starbucks, I know because I get a notification that, you know, your coffee's ready. So I can see how many people are using it and then reload it appropriately.
That's so good. Yeah. Thank goodness you were here, Lenny, because I was talking QR codes and
yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, because QR codes are what we do, Jimmy. But I don't know how to make it a QR code, but I just take I just screenshot it.
Yeah. I hope the AC is working in your car. Because I know if it's hot up here today, it's probably smoking hot in there. I know.
87.
I know. Yes, exactly. Already. All right. Great. Thanks, Lenny. Other questions? Rosalie, do we see any other questions or any of those?
No, we're good.
Anybody else have anything? Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to jump in with? Jack, do you have something you wanted to mention or no? All right. Anybody else have any other questions right now on anything? All right, look, we're going to get a little extra time back on your Friday, which doesn't hurt my feelings. We've got a ton of family at my house for a graduation. Let me just say this to all the parents that are out there. This is my youngest, and don't blink because it happens like that. And it is crazy to think that I am about to be an empty nester. I pray that my wife still likes me. Because I don't know that we remember not having kids around. So this is going to be a celebration weekend for my son. We'll have all the family there and just enjoy your weekend. If you need anything, just to reach out to me and we will see you guys later. Hey, thanks to everybody that jumped in and helped out with this. This is what this is all about. We're going to be doing this every Friday. You'll be getting some emails on that and we will have those. Anybody that has ideas on subjects you would like for us to cover, please text me, DM me, or email me and let me know. And we'll be glad to do our best to bring that information to you. Thanks, Rosalie, for helping as well. And have a great weekend, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.